Welcome back, folks. My name is LastKnownMeal, and today we're going to be talking about the latest acquisition of the Embracer Group, which basically took over Eidos, Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal for $300 million, which does include IPs like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, and more than 50 games in the catalog of Square Enix holdings. And all of this was done, as I said, for $300 million. It's crazy when you think about it that some 300 million is not much when you look at, for example, the acquisition done by Microsoft or Sony. When, for example, Microsoft acquired ZeniMax and when they acquired Blizzard, and when you think about those billions, I mean, 300 million for this IP, including Tomb Raider and Deus Ex and Thief. Wow, this is actually a bargain, because keep one thing in mind. These are very popular IPs. If you make a good Tomb Raider game, if you make a good Deus Ex game, you're going to bring that money back very easily for... So honestly, 300 million, this was a nice catch. So if you don't know who Embracer Group is, basically they were known as THQ Nordic AB. They changed their name in 2019. I'm sure there was some acquisitions going around for the reason to change their name, but basically they're a Swedish video game and media holding company. So under them they have a bunch of subsidiaries, which does include THQ Nordic, Gearbox, Koch Media, and a bunch of other stuff. And if you look at their website, for example, they have more than 850 IPs. 10 operative groups, 119 development studios, 12,000 employees in 40 plus countries. And especially when you look at what they have under them, it's as I said, THQ Nordic, Koch Media, Coffee Stain, Amplifier, Saber Interactive, Gearbox, Dark Horse Media, and a bunch of other companies which develop different games in different genres. So now when you are able to acquire something as Tomb Raider, which there is a new Tomb Raider game in development. It's going to be done in Unreal Engine 5, and we don't know when exactly that's coming out or what the story and gameplay is going to be, but hopefully it's going to be good. When you have Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain. Legacy of Kain is one of the most popular franchises out there. I don't know if it is today with younger generations, but I know for older, Legacy of Kain is something that a lot of people want, including me. So now when you think about it, alright, so Square Enix wasn't really doing anything with a bunch of these games. Like, for example, Deus Ex was pretty much gone under them, Thief was pretty much gone, Legacy of Kain, we don't even have to mention that under them. So honestly, when you have a company like the Embracer Group and they basically just, get it off of you, I just hope for one thing, as I would hope for every other, studio which gets acquired, doesn't matter if it's Microsoft acquiring or Sony or Embracer, I hope these IPs are utilized well. Because, as I said, we definitely need a new Deus Ex game, because I still think that the first Deus Ex game, which came all the way back, years ago, is a game ahead of its time, and it was one of the best games ever created. When you go to Human Revolution, when you go to Mankind Divided, all of those games, great. Especially Human Revolution. Mankind Divided kinda divided people on who likes it, who doesn't. I enjoyed it. I didn't have a problem with that game as well. It wasn't as good as Human Revolution, but it was definitely well made. Then, of course, on the other side, you have Thief, which also could use a different game. We haven't heard anything much about the Thief, and we haven't had a good Thief game in a very long time. So again, now they have a bunch of great IPs under them. So now it's gonna be like, alright, what kind of games are you gonna be making off of this? What kind of titles are gonna be, made? Are you gonna be making a proper Deus Ex game? Is that happening? When is that happening? So all of these questions now that Embracer Group is gonna be working on, and hopefully this doesn't fail, because if you buy all of this and you do nothing with it and you release games which are not as good as, for example, under Square Enix, then you're not going to actually achieve anything, and you basically just spent 300 million for nothing. So I'm sure they have some plans for this. I'm sure they see potential in this. They wouldn't be buying it otherwise, especially spending 300 million today. But Embracer Group is, even as Phil Rogers, the executive director of Square Enix America and Europe, says, Embracer is the best kept secret in the gaming industry, because you have no idea how big Embracer Group is, and it's very decentralized, meaning that different studios are just working off of each other to increase their potential in terms of marketing, in terms of visibility, in terms of development, and all of that. Is it good? Is it bad? We shall see in the future. But having something like this happen, maybe it's gonna be good in the end. But it's also interesting how Embracer Group works, and that a lot of people don't really know about it, but they have a lot of great IPs under them. So this is going to definitely become one of the biggest players right now in the video game industry. Like, Embracer Group is gonna be out there just grabbing stuff. Now it's gonna be interesting to see if Embracer Group is ever bought by someone, but now you see that a lot of big corporations are also going into gaming. Like, Amazon is going slowly into gaming. They had some hiccups now and then. But what happens when Amazon starts buying up studios? What happens when you have different corporations start buying up stuff? And that's not even like companies which have to do something with gaming. I'm talking when big corporations start buying out these sort of companies. When you have big money, which doesn't know how games are being developed, which only wants to buy something to milk as much money off of it and basically just get it out, that's a problem. And hopefully the industry doesn't go in that way. But when it comes to this, only time will tell. Only time will tell. But is this big? Yeah, this is definitely big. And especially now that when you look at like Square Enix Montreal, they've been making like Hitman Go, Tomb Raider Go, and Deus Ex Go. And they said here that they will continue to work on games for mobile devices, which were actually based on AAA franchises and also new projects. They also keep mentioning some of the blockchain and NFTs here, which you know, it's not for the technology or industry, it's just made there to milk you more money. So when it comes to like what kind of games are being developed in terms of like mobile games and all of that, they will never stop doing that, because mobile games generate so much money. It is actually insane. That's why you have all of these companies, and that's why all of these CEOs have nothing to do with gaming, saying like, oh yeah, we have to go into mobile because mobile is this next big thing, you know, mobile this, mobile that, you know. So of course they will be going into that heavily. Again, I'm okay with that. You make those Go games, but also make AAA titles. Also make something that people actually want to play. So now we have to see, is the quality of these games like Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Thief, Legacy of Kain, is that going to be better or worse? Is the quality of those games going to degrade, or actually, you know, help it grow into something that we haven't experienced before? This will be interesting. And so far Embracer Group has been okay, in my opinion. They had some ups and downs there when it comes to some of their games, but we shall see. I don't know. Right now this is all up in the air, but the video game industry is changing a lot. A lot of IPs are exchanging hands, so now you will have a lot of IPs that you played. They're gonna be in different hands. So ultimately their games are going to be different, because, you know, they will want different things, different people will be working on them, and so on and so on. So it's going to be interesting to see how well this develops in the next like 5 years, because the next 5 years are going to tell us if this acquisition was useful or not. Nothing before that. But I'm positive that we are going to get a new Deus Ex game, or at least I'm hoping for it. And if it does happen, I hope that Adam Jensen actually makes a return, because that story, I don't think it's actually properly finished. So I hope they actually go and do it properly this time. So yeah, a lot of acquisitions, a lot of money being spent in the industry today, and things are gonna be definitely changing. But you should be waiting for the big players now enter the video game industry, because they smelled money. They smelled how much they can milk from people, including microtransactions and everything else. And besides Embracer Group, you will have a bunch of other companies going to this, and you will see a lot of the studios that, you know, they're going to be sold probably, or just one of their IPs, or more than, you know, one of their IPs is going to be in different hands. So that's my opinion on it. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Don't forget to smash that like and subscribe button. Tell me down below, what do you think about all of this? Are you happy with this acquisition? What do you think is going to be happening with these IPs? Is this good or is this bad? Tell me down below. Also, don't forget to check us out on Twitter and Discord, and a huge thanks to my current Patreon supporters. This is LKM signing out, and I'll talk to you everyone next time. Bye bye.